All right, let's get into our next discussion now. 3 times, the Senate has summoned the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, to appear before it. 3 times, the IGP has failed to appear.
Yes, indeed. And Idris was expected to appear before the Senate last Wednesday over the growing security concerns in the country and the case of Dino Melaye, senator representing Kogi West. The first time the IGP was invited to appear before the lawmakers, he accompanied President Muhammadu Buhari to Bauchi State. And the second time he was expected to show up at the Senate, he went to Birnin Gwari, Kaduna State on a working visit.
Now, the Senate has declared him as an enemy of state and unfit to hold public office as they passed a vote of no confidence on him. And they said he's not fit to hold office in Nigeria or anywhere in the world. That's really strong.
As a matter of fact, they say he's persona non grata. Well, the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, has responded to the comments made by the Senate over his refusal to honor their invitation. Idris said neither him nor the force owed any individual or individuals any apologies in discharging its duties.
Now, he described the senators as people trying to blackmail him into perverting the course of justice. Now, Idris has repeatedly said he would not honor the invitation, citing sections of the Constitution and extant police statutes that appear to support his stance.
And thankfully, we have an international lawyer, a barrister, Olufemi Aina. Good morning.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Yes, thank you. Nice to see you.
Okay, so please help us out with the legal ramifications of all of this.
Yeah,
Falano, respected human rights lawyer, has said, I sympathize with the Senate, the National Assembly. Unfortunately, you don't have any powers to summon the IGP.
Well, I think that's one side of the argument. Okay. The second side of the argument is this. Number one, first of all, you see, if you have power, you need to be humble. Either constitutional power, prescribe, ascribe authority, and whatever power you have, you need to be humble. And what you shouldn't do is to be flexing muscle. That, look, I'm going to use my power on you. And if you are not careful, you will get into this sort of vicious circle we are in, whereby the Senate are going to say, okay, we still want you to come, and the man is saying, look, I'm not going to come. Now, whether the Senate has the power or not, let's put it in the legal context.
Yes.
Now, why I disagree with the Lana Senior Counsel you mentioned is that they do have the power to summon any person on issues whereby they have the power to make laws. And what is the purpose? Then you look at Section 89 of the Constitution. It's just for them so that they will be able to amend the law, or at the same time just to ensure that organs of government, they are being run in a very transparent manner in order to avoid corruption. But that power is not a power that is not limited. It is not an unlimited power.
It's not
absolute. And the court has said that consistently. When El Rufai some years back made these derogatory remarks about Senate, they were really out in harm in order to sanction him. And the court said, look, you can't do that. If you have a problem, what you need to do is to inform the Attorney General, who will decide whether this man should be prosecuted or not. And even prior to the El Rufai episode, there was an episode about Tony Mama when he was the editor of the Daily Times, when he made an allegation against the Senate then, that some of the lawmakers were lobbying executives for contract. And they were up in arms to deal with him severely. And eventually the court said, no, these people are not part of the executives. You see, you are just going on a fishing expedition. And you see, one thing which is important and which I want you to take on board is this. This is not very unusual. You invite someone, even in your micro-organization here, they invite people to come for a disciplinary hearing.
Yes.
I see this day in, day out, but here, you know, the 2 countries I practice the law. You go for a disciplinary hearing, the panel is ready. The next thing you will see is the person coming with a medical certificate that they cannot turn up. So what do? Are you going to judge them in absentia, or you are going to postpone and give them a second bite of the cherry that, okay, we are going to postpone? Then you give them the opportunity that, okay, this medical certificate is for 2 weeks. 2 weeks down the line, they bring another medical certificate. Now, but by and large, what they are doing is to postpone the evil day, because at the end of the day, you're still going to be sacked anyway. But we just want to give you the opportunity to be heard. And it may well be, when you appear, you'll be convincing. Now,
well, this particular case is not necessarily a
I take your point. Yes,
okay.
I'm just taking.
Okay.
I'm just making an example.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I do understand.
Now, on the April 25, the man was invited.
Yeah.
That, look, come, we want you the IG. Now, unfortunately, he couldn't make it. But what did he do? He sent someone in that who is a senior person in charge of operations. In every organization, there is a hierarchy.
Yeah.
And in every organization, leaders are encouraged to delegate authority, because you are not going to be here from cradle to grave. If you are no longer here, the organization must be able to run. Now, you don't take everything within your whims and caprices, and then what will happen in the long run is that the structure will totally collapse. Now, when the man appeared, you didn't even listen to him. You turned around and said, no, we want your boss, not you. You see, the moment you start doing that, people will start reading minutes to your action. Because at that particular moment, you are personalizing the issue. Now, this man, even if it happens, if you listen to him and you realize he has not given you all the necessary information, what do? Sometimes some of them will tell you that, okay, we are going to write in and this and that you have not addressed that information, but I will write you in. And what you normally see, because if you look at the British Parliament, for instance, even if they call the minister, sitting next to the minister will be the director in charge of policy, the director in charge of enforcement and what have you. So if they put any question to him, he can lean to this, or he can ask them to do, because he will know,
depending on any extra information.
And the man now sent the man in charge of operations, who is a senior officer,
should be better informed,
who should be better informed to deal with all these issues, whether it's Milaye or whether the Fulani Hesme, whatever it is. Then you turn around and say, no, we want your boss. The second time it didn't turn up. The third time it didn't turn up. What's the point of calling him the fourth time? Because he's not going to turn up.
So what are the options before the Senate, since he has refused to turn up, and according to them, they believe they have the powers to summon him?
We are not arguing against that, that you don't have the power. That's not what we are saying. The issue is that you summon him as the head of that institution. And if the man can't make it and they send somebody from that institution, that means he has acknowledged your power. You get what I'm saying? So now you turn around and said, okay, he's an enemy of democracy. He's not fit to hold public office, both here and anywhere in the world. And now there's an issue there. Even if you turn around and say he's not fit to hold public office, would that be from now to the end of the earth? Or for how many years, number one? And secondly, you are lawmakers. You didn't even listen to him. He didn't make any representation before you come up with your decision that this man is not fit to hold public office.
So from the eyes of Nigerians who are watching and not really understanding the laws of this, they feel that can they conclude that the National Assembly is out on a vendetta against the Inspector General of Police? Well,
that's, you see, by the time you don't follow the right procedure, by the time you are flexing muscle, then that's what is right for people. It's reasonable of them to make that assumption. That, look, you know, let's forget about whether Milaye right was violated, this and that. This is one of your members. Let's not go into whether what the police did is right or not. Something will tell the IG that if I go before these people, what they're going to do is they're going to vex their anger and do one thing or the other. But that's not why the man didn't turn up. At least he sent someone. Maybe that person will be in a better position, even well informed than the IG himself, to explain the circumstances and everything. Now, what is the big deal? Once you have somebody from that organization and the person is equipped with all the necessary information, then why are you going around looking for IG? That's why people will start making assumptions and reading minutes into your action.
And the IG, part of his response to the Senate is, if you really are concerned about the state of insecurity in the country, or security as it were,
yes.
Then why would you turn back the person that I sent to you?
Well, that's
his own.
Well, I think he has a point there, because if that person is the person who has been charged with that responsibility within that organization to make sure they put strategies in place in order to cope with whatever it is going on, and the person has turned up and you don't listen to him, then we have an issue.
Okay, so what do we make of this section 67, subsection 1, that gives discretion to the president to address the National Assembly jointly or separately on any matter of national importance?
Yes, I know that section 67 is there, but that doesn't mean that every time there is an issue of insecurity in the country, the next thing you do is to invoke Section 67 and call the president to come into the Senate. Because don't forget, the IG and all this is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
Yes.
He can ask you to go before the Senate and explain what you are doing and what you have done and what you are about to do. And he is there to make sure that, look, there is adequate policies in place and competent people are running the affairs of the state or the government. So that is there. But the issue on ground now is this. We know we have all these issues going on in Benue State and what have you, but the Senate needs to sit down. There are a lot of issues ahead of them. The budget that was presented as far back as November 2017 is still there. And they are still deliberating. They said they will pass it. Why hasn't that? And you are still concerned about security? When somebody has presented a budget that will deal with all these issues, you are yet to take a decision one way or the other. How long is this going to go on for?
All right. So the declaration of persona non grata by the National Assembly on the IG, calling him unfit to hold public office anywhere in the world, what implication does that really have?
Well, I know you are using the word persona non grata. That only comes in.
Not fit.
No, that comes in the context of, let's say you are a diplomat now, and we send you abroad, and then for one reason or the other, the government said, look, you have no immunity, we are not going to be responsible for whatever happens to you, then they declare you as persona non grata.
So it's a misuse or wrong use?
Yes,
it's a wrong use of
I don't know whether they even said persona non grata. I think what I heard is that they said he's an enemy of democracy and is not fit to hold public office.
Well, some reports,
they
they use that in some reports anyway.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe might be a matter of semantics. But the issue remains that declaration, that cannot even stand. It's just it's an empty point. Because at the end of the day, you did not even hear from the man before you come to that conclusion. And why did you declare him as not fit for public office? Because he failed to honor your invitation. But even not honoring despite not honoring your invitation, is still at a point. Send someone to represent him so that he can give you all the explanation you are asking for.
What seems to be missing here? Is there a lacuna in the Constitution that does not clearly define the limits of the
of the powers of
yes.
You see, that is the issue, because at the end of the day, what they are saying is that we can summon you. You don't have the right to send someone to represent you. If there is a gap, they are legislators. That's why we and you select them to represent us. What they can do is to put amend the Constitution or put another subsection to Section 88 that where any person is summoned and they cannot turn up, he will be in a position to do this and that, or he must give a valid explanation. And this issue is very simple. The only thing which I'm slightly concerned about from the IG is that once you receive that information and you are going to send this person, it will have been an ideal situation. You send him with a letter that I received your invitation and I apologize, I won't be able to make it due to pressing matter of state. However, because of your constitutional whatever, I'm sending this person who is in a better position to give you adequate
But would that have made any much difference?
Well, if people are set out to settle scores, it won't make a difference.
Okay.
But for people who have an open mind, it makes a difference. But if it's people who are not happy because you've harassed or the way you treated one of our members, even if you give them that letter, they will put it in the bin.
Especially when the IG himself has said, I owe no one any apologies as to, you know,
I don't
to
know
answer
whether
these questions.
Police do apologize to citizens when they are wrong sometimes, but in this context, I doubt whether you owe them any apology whatsoever, taking account of the fact that what is playing out here is unnecessary power tussle. And it's not even in the interest of us as a citizen. What we want the legislators to do is what is defined in Section 4 of the Constitution, peace and good governance. Make law for the country. And let's forget all this unnecessary power tussle. All
right, Olufemi Aina, thank you so much for enlightening us on this issue here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Always a delight.
Thank you.